What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday to everybody out there. Woodward Bets back in the house to talk everything in the sports world here on Thursday night. I am Beer, joined by my boy Scotty G, coming off an epic bowling performance. We don't talk about your bowling exploits very often here on the show, Scott, but a hell of a night on the lanes last night. So why don't you let the people know? This guy tells me I'm bored with 300, so a bigger accomplishment than rolling a 300. So what happened on the lanes last night?
Yeah, Chris, I actually shot an 801, so 800s are always special in the bowling world. So was excited to do that. I had the front nine, actually, the first game and the second game, and choked it out, left 10 pins in the first ball in the 10th, and then made I shoot 77, 278, and then 246. So fun night. 31 out of 36 strikes isn't too bad. Left with a little bit of money, but you know what happens though, Chris? You end up just drinking it all in Modelo's anyway. So woke up this morning with a little bit of a headache from all the fun, but anytime you can roll 800, it's definitely worth it.
Spencer, I believe we have a live shot of Scott from last night. We could put up for the people. So we'll take a look at that here. There he is. That's it. I mean, that's a good night right there. So at least your eyes are still open. You're drinking some Rainier, which will not be the featured beer tomorrow in our Beers with Beer segment, but looking good there, buddy. So
when you wake up after a night of drinking and you wake up and there's a bag or remnants of food that you had the night before on the table near you and your shoes are still on, them are the fun nights, and you wake up with Burger King on your chest. You're like, what the hell happened? Or Taco Bell shit all over you. I mean, them are the good nights there, buddy. You fall asleep with your shoes on, you've had a fun night.
Yeah, I mean, you wake up looking like that bear in the woods. So again, you're rolling 801. You deserve to do whatever the hell you want. So the whiteboard behind you, lockout. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that here. MLB not looking good. So do you think this bleeds into the season? Just give the people a quick recap on what this means and what it can mean short-term, long-term. Just quick thoughts here before we kind of get into the day's sports.
Yeah, it just means with the lockout, you can't. They can't negotiate. They can't sign any kind of contracts. They can't do anything. They can't even communicate with their players. So they totally separated themselves from daily activities and daily business in baseball. But for me, it really isn't going to matter to the pitchers and catchers are supposed to report, right? So, I mean, it's just a media blitz trying to put some pressure on both sides here to come to the table. But, I mean, they're just not very smart if they think that they want to take this lockout into to March or even into the season, because I just don't think that's in their best interest at this point. There's a lot of other options out there for entertainment these days, and I don't think baseball can afford to take another step backwards.
Yeah, they have to be smarter. They have to know that they're behind, obviously, football. Basketball, we've talked about, is not only a global game, but the NBA gets it. That they're connected with the youth, trying to find different ways to do that. Baseball still needs to do that. That younger demographic is trending away from baseball, and even soccer is gaining leverage here in America, which not that shocking. Soccer mostly known for being an overseas game and popularity-wise, but certainly picking up some market share, we'll say, here in the United States. So baseball can't afford any more stoppages, black eyes, anything like that. So I'm with you. Yeah, I don't see this.
I was gonna say, I like your call about the soccer. Now let's think, the World Cup's coming up, and we got some pretty young players that are. I mean, this young generation of soccer talent we have is the best I've ever seen. I'm almost 50. I mean, and I follow soccer. I mean, I love the World Cup. Chris, I really think the U.S. has got a shot to make a deep run. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win, but I could see a semifinal, maybe a quarterfinal, something like that, where they get out of that stage. But if that happens, And in baseball's on strike, and they're having these issues, man, that could really squeeze the nuts of baseball, because I think soccer is going to pick up some momentum after this World Cup here coming through.
And look at all the youth program. I mean, there's a ton of youth soccer going on right now. And yeah, sure, there's youth baseball. And my daughters play softball. That's still alive and well, but soccer certainly seems to grow each and every year. So just, I'm sure the heads of baseball, at least you hope, are thinking about things like this. Like, we can't afford to lose any more fans, especially this up and coming generation. So something for us to keep an eye on here as we move forward. But plan for today's show, Thursday Night Football on the docket. So we're going to break down Dallas and the New Orleans Saints. So we'll update anything going on in the NFL injury-wise. We'll take a look at NBA as well. Best bets for last night, 4-2. So 3-0 in the NBA. College, a couple hiccups by the Big Ten, but we will get back on track here. So hopefully you guys, if we go 4 out of 6 every night, Scotty, that's we're doing something right. So we're going to hopefully, that's right, those hundreds will be flowing. So that is the plan, to continue the winning ways once again here tonight. So if you're watching the show on YouTube, first of all, thank you. Second of all, make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. That helps us out tremendously. On Twitter, follow us at Woodward Bets. Also, follow the network at Woodward Sports. And Scott, I was on earlier with Braylon and Ryan Ermani on The Bottom Line. Fantastic show here on the network. Talked a lot about the college games coming up on Saturday. Talked about the Lions. Also threw down the gauntlet in the Foaling. So we'll see if they accept our challenge here with their little – I'm going to call it a fake Foaling championship. I guess they beat the teams that were put in front of them. So, they're the champion in that sense. But, not having the heavyweights in the building to play against, it's kind of a faux championship. So any thoughts on that here real quick? Have not heard back from those boys yet. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the main network put out a little tweet and showed, some clips of all the fun and everything. And looks like Ryan had nailed a one-pinner there for the victory, but it looked like he had a pretty decent arm, though. But I still think we'd give him a hard time. So Foaling, bowling, it's all close. I mean, it's all under. I mean, I actually throw it underhand, Chris. Foaling, don't tease me, but I got a pretty mean, wicked aim that way. And then plus, when you throw it that way, the ball skips, right? Like, man, if I throw it short, it skips right into the pins. I've gone a few times and tried to do the overhand thing, and then I just barely can't scratch my head the next day. My arm hurts and all that other funny stuff. But yeah, we'll try out a little bit of Foaling. If they want to play some cornhole, we can do that too.
Oh, then they're definitely in trouble then. So the underhand throw makes sense. I mean, that's the cornhole motion. That's the bowling motion. And you're right. People try to get in there and gun the ball. The key is just kind of drop it in there and let the pins just kind of collapse. So I like that. So hopefully we can get a matchup set up. We'll get some footage here for the show as well, and see if we can bring home that championship for Woodward Bets. So it's not only that show, guys. There's a lot of great shows on the network. We want to continue to spotlight the Morning Woodward with Adam and Jeff. A great way to start the day. Big D Energy with Darren McCarty, Joey Bell, and Neil. A fantastic show. And, of course, that Bottom Line, like we spoke about, with Ryan, Braylon Edwards, and our boy, Maz. We can't forget about Maz. So some great stuff going on here at Woodward Sports. So we're glad that you guys are a part of it. So, Scott, let's talk NFL. We'll get to tonight's game. Obviously, the news there, Taysom Hill going to start at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. No Alvin Kamara here tonight for New Orleans, but Mark Ingram sounds like he will be back in that lineup. So we'll break that thing down here momentarily. But we also have some other injuries. Scott Daniel Jones still dealing with an injury. May get some Mike Glennon this week. We know some of the guys we talked about yesterday, they're going to be out. Dalvin Cook is going to miss, which is going to open things up for Alexander Madison. DeAndre Swift not looking likely. So Jamal Williams next man up. Darren Waller looking doubtful. So we get some Foster Moreau there. CeeDee Lamb still dealing with an injury. So we'll see if he's able to give it a go tonight. So any other thoughts on injuries, things going around here in the NFL today, Scott?
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of running back injuries that could or could not actually help the guy that's going to be playing. I mean, Miles Sanders looks like he plans on playing, so I think that's going to take a little bit from Boston Scott in that matchup. And then J.D. McKissick is in the concussion protocol. He may not make it back. So if so, man, that leaves Gibson in a really good spot to be that bell cow there in that game. So just a couple guys we're going to have to see there, and then talk about old running backs there. Man, old Dusty AP signed with the Seahawks, man. This dude,
Yep.
I mean, he just won't let it go, man. He's still hanging on, but maybe the Seahawks activate him here. But good to see old AP still at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Alex Collins has done anything to steal that job. DJ Dallas, the only other healthy running back on that roster. So, if anything, they need the depth. But Peterson may be the best running back they have. Now, I know it didn't look great in Tennessee. It was quickly shunned aside there for guys like Deontay Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard. But Seattle needs something. That team looks terrible. Tough matchup this week with the San Francisco 49ers. So, a couple other minor injury notes. Philadelphia. Boston Scott, no practice today, dealing with an illness. We did not see Jordan Howard either, still dealing with that knee injury. So Sanders may be, if we're going to fall in the trap again of Miles Sanders. But some news there. Ricky Seals-Jones back at practice, limited practices yesterday and today. So if you need a tight end, that could be a name to look to. And Houston dealing with some injuries as well. David Johnson and Brandon Cooks both dealing with an illness. They'd missed practice. So, and a report on DeAndre Swift sounds like a long shot for him to even be back next week. So Jamal Williams could provide you multiple weeks here of production. And I like the spot for him this week, Scott. So we talked about on the show yesterday, our NFL in-depth look each week, every Wednesday. So if you guys missed that, go and check it out. Thoughts on DFS plays, bets, things like that. But I think Jamal Williams is going to be in a good spot here this week against Minnesota. So, Scott, let's talk Thursday night football here. Again, the big news, no Alvin Kamara, and that has the spread on the move. This thing opened up at -4.5. We're up to -6, -6.5 even at a lot of shops out there. And the total drops, as you'd expect with that news, open at 48. We're down to mostly 46. There is a 45.5 out there at BetMGM. So, some trends here in the game tonight, Scott, before we get into your analysis. The over 4-0 in Dallas's last 4 appearances on Thursday Night Football. Dallas also 6-0 against the number in their last 6 against the NFC. The under 9-1-1 in New Orleans' last 11 Thursday night games. So a pretty good trend there. Saints 6-1 against the number in their last 7, following an against the spread loss. The home team 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 meetings, and the underdog 9-2 against the number over their last 11. So those are the trends, Scott. First, let's just take an overview of this game. Taysom Hill being back in that New Orleans lineup is exciting for fantasy. Is it exciting for some of these weapons, though? You know, you don't have Kamara. The receivers have been a disaster, even when they have quarterbacks that can deliver them the ball. Can we count on Taysom to get the ball to any of these guys, or we're just going to be a running fest here with Taysom and Mark Ingram tonight against Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, this game's definitely interesting. I think with Taysom, I mean, we've seen Taysom play, so it's not, we've seen what he's been able to do in the past, in the past years. But you're right. I think without Kamara, I think it just kind of makes him a one-dimensional kind of guy. I mean, they're either going to run the quarterback option or he's going to try to get it to, his receivers, which are all not really that great. So I do think Mark Ingram's going to get the ball quite a bit. On the other side, we got the Cowboys are going to be without their head coach. So Mike McCarthy has COVID. So he's going to be replaced by Dan Quinn. So as we know, I think Quinn's going to want to run the ball. I mean, obviously being here with the Lions, I think he's going to probably try to lean on Elliott a lot. I heard on a local radio show down in Dallas that Jerry Jones said that Elliott's going to get a serious workload. So believe that or not, he's supposed to. But Chris, what I'm hearing, Amari Cooper's still struggling from the COVID. So it seems like he has some lingering effects. So they're thinking that he may even resort to basically like a shadow. He may not play very much. They think he's going to get limited snaps tonight. May more or less be like a dummy. So I don't really expect much out of him. But I will say New Orleans gives up quite a bit of points to wide receivers. So I think CeeDee Lamb, Lattimore usually works the outside. So I really like CeeDee Lamb to get to get quite a few passes here tonight. So Lamb's a guy I like. I like Gallup as well. But like I said, I think he's going to end up getting some Lattimore, but I think they are going to take some shots over the top. I do like Prescott today. I think he's in a really good spot. But yeah, overall, I think you got these Dallas guys are people that I'm really looking at playing. But another bad news for New Orleans, though, Chris, is that they're getting their pass rusher back, DeMarcus Lawrence. So, man, he obviously is a beast. So that's not going to be good for that New Orleans offense. So I think everything seems to be working against New Orleans here tonight. But I definitely like CeeDee Lamb. I think he's the guy tonight that has the potential to break out.
And you mentioned that pass rush. They're also going to be without Ryan Ramczyk, the stud offensive lineman there with New Orleans. So that certainly doesn't help anything either in this matchup. But I love the call of the Dallas receivers not named Amari Cooper. You're right. He's likely going to be a decoy. A lot of the general public may not realize that. He's a big name. They see him in there. You know, they want to be all aboard the Amari Cooper train. So that leaves CeeDee Lamb, and more importantly, the guy you mentioned next, Michael Gallup, as guys that you could utilize tonight that are probably going to go a little bit underlooked. Even a guy like Dalton Schultz. Tony Pollard, always a guy I love playing with his big playability, can get it going at any time. New Orleans, I don't mind Taysom. We know he's going to run the ball a lot. There's no Kamara there, so it's going to be mostly Ingram and Taysom seeing the majority of the production here against Dallas. So I think there's a variety of ways you can go here. Now, Scott, any cheap plays for the people here tonight, ways to save some money in their captain MVP spots tonight on FanDuel and DraftKings?
You know, yeah, some cheap guys you might be able to look at. I mean, maybe a Tony Jones Jr. I mean, he may get some extra carries. I mean, he's only like 800 on DK. He's really cheap. Maybe you could look at even a Juwan Johnson as somebody that maybe a Traquan Smith. He's a pretty cheap receiver there for New Orleans. But Deontay Harris is another guy you might be able to look at. But you know, I don't mind a guy like Tony Jones Jr. I mean, they're not going to totally lean on Ingram tonight, so I could see him taking a couple carries away, maybe even fall into the end zone. And at that price, Chris, I think that's a decent play. He does have a shot potentially to get those, take a couple of those carries away from Ingram. So, I mean, I do like that. There isn't really much more down there that really excites me. I mean, but like we've said before, you can, especially on DK where they mix up the pricing, if you can get a guy that you know is going to play and get some touches and has a chance to score, and he's less than 1,000 or he's 2 or 3 or 400, I mean, you got to really consider to play that because it just opens up some of these plays, allows you to get 2 quarterbacks or a good receiver with those 2 quarterbacks. So I like to look for those guys that down there. Who was it? Swain last week, I think in the last Island game. I think he scored pretty late, and he was only like 11 or 1,200 on DK.
Yep.
And I think that was his only catch. But man, it jumped everybody way up there in the standings on just that one touchdown alone.
Yeah, a one gamer. You have to find ways to be, if you're throwing in all of the big names and it looks pretty and you zero out your salary, guess what? You're going to share any winnings that you have with about 10,000 other people. So, you know, we want to try to find ways to be different, whether it is utilizing some of those cheaper guys, leaving salary on the table, trying to find those different edges. So it's never comfortable, Scott, rostering a guy like Tony Jones, who coming off a horrible performance last week, given a ton of opportunity and just didn't do anything with it. So guys like that, you know, I want to throw Kenny Stills in the mix. I mean, not great. We don't trust Taysom, but he's $200. He's a guy in one play that can get you there. So he's a guy I'm going to be taking some stabs at tonight. Juwan Johnson at tight end. You know, maybe Taysom relies on the tight end a little bit more here as kind of a security blanket. No Adam Troutman for New Orleans. So those are a few of the guys that I'm intrigued with here tonight on the cheap. So do we want to make bets here? You know what? Let's save it. We'll save that for our best bet segment at the end of the show. So any other thoughts on this game, Scott? Any first touchdown bets? You know, we're not going to count those in best bets. Those are very difficult to hit, but I'm going to throw one out here. I've already booked, and I got decent odds on it. And you know, this has been a pretty good bet for me lately. So I'm hopefully continue to hot streak here. But I'm on Taysom Hill for the first touchdown here tonight. Got it at 16-1 a couple days ago. I had that, Scott, in some of the sports books, they try to buy you out. They try to give me more money than what I initially put on the bet because the odds have dropped on that thing. I let it ride, obviously, but it's down to about 12-1. But I'm going to go with Taysom Hill, first touchdown here in the game tonight. So any thoughts on touchdowns or any other bets that aren't best bets? We'll do those at the end of the show.
Yeah, I like that Taysom Hill score. Actually, while you were saying that, I was trying to see what he's at. Is he 12-1 still right now? Yeah, actually, he's 10-1 right now on FanDuel.
Okay, so that baby's dropping. So 12 was on DraftKings the last time I checked earlier this morning.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at it, Chris, I mean, he's maybe 7th or 8th in the odds, but I mean, he's only plus 195 to score an anytime touchdown. So I do like that. I mean, we've seen him run quite a bit. I mean, that's going to be his first instinct, is to put the ball down and run. And, I mean, the ball starts in his hand first. So I do like that at a 10-1. When actually I was enjoying Thanksgiving at that Firekeepers, and New Orleans played on Thanksgiving, obviously. I actually bet on Taysom Hill at 35-1 in that game to actually score the first touchdown, Chris, and he wasn't even supposed to start. So, yeah, I do like that call tonight. Another guy, though, too, is CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb is going to have his way tonight. I mean, he's plus 750 from what I see, so you get 7.5-1 for your money on CeeDee Lamb. I think he's just going to have a monster day in the middle of that defense for New Orleans that has just been awful up the middle. So short passing. Lattimore's generally done a pretty good job on the outside, but they've been getting beat up on the interior, and I think that's where Lamb is just he's gonna eat today. So I'm gonna go Lamb and Hill. I like to a lot of times have one on each team, so I think those are the two that I might roll with tonight.
Trying to Taysom's down to 900 on DraftKings. I'm trying to see if there is a Kenny Stills. Kenny Stills. This is going to be my long shot. First touchdown, 50-1. I know it's ugly, it's dicey. You don't have to lay much on these, which is what I like. You find one in the CeeDee Lamb range, something like that. So usually my attack, Scott, is find a guy. I don't generally take the guys at the top. A lot of times they are the best bet. You can make a little bit of money, but I try to find one like a Taysom in the 10-20 range, find one in this 30, 40, 50 range. Again, the name of Kenny Stills' game, the deep ball, the deep touchdowns. All it takes is one. So I'm going to give you Kenny Stills here at 50-1 on DraftKings for the first touchdown. So, Scott, let's transition to some NBA here tonight. 5 games on the docket here. So, DFS thoughts. Who are we looking at here tonight in the NBA?
Yeah, what do we got? We got 5 games tonight in the NBA, and one thing I always like to look at as when we generally are looking here are the teams that are on back-to-back. So we got the Bucks. Your Bucks, I swear, man, Chris, it seems like your Bucks play every damn night. I don't get it, but
they're busy defending that title.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like every night. I mean, Giannis had a great game yesterday too, but yeah, Bucks are on a back-to-back. OKC is on a back-to-back tonight. But there's going to be some guys here that there's going to be no Lillard, no Ja Morant, no Booker, and Giddey. So it looks like that guard position might be pretty good. So as far as some value, I mean, Tyrus Jones is a guy that has been helping me out a little bit. But yeah, I think Anthony Simmons is another guy. But we'll have to keep our ears to the ground, though, obviously, to see if any more value opens up. Usually, like we say, we like to do the stars and scrubs type approach to NBA, and that's generally what I like to do. But keep your ear to the ground for that value as it opens up later.
Yeah, you mentioned the injuries, and I think that's always a good place to start. Portland, no Damian Lillard. That's a ton of usage to go around. So CJ McCollum is the guy on the high end that takes a nice leap. You mentioned Anthony Simons, another guy that gets a nice bump. Memphis, without Ja Morant, you can look at Tyus Jones, like you mentioned. Desmond Bane, another guy that tends to put the ball in the hoop for that Memphis team. So that's a team to look to. And then you mentioned Josh Giddey. I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Had a nice prop bet on his points last night. without Giddey, I mean, he's basically the entire offense. So I think even on a back-to-back, you can go back to him, even Trey Mann at the point guard position there for OKC. So those are the value plays, Scott. If you're spending up, the only premium guy here is Giannis. So I think you're going to see a ton of ownership here on Giannis tonight. Other high-end options, guys like Tate Myre playing some great basketball right now, DeMar DeRozan, Vooch, Julius Randle. So are we just cramming Giannis in our lineup here tonight with some of this value out there? Or are you worried he could be overly owned on this slate and on a back-to-back?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, kind of go with some more middle range guys with like the McCollums and the Chris Pauls and the Jurkics and the SGAs and maybe some Aitons, you're obviously not going to be able to have a guy like Giannis, especially on FanDuel. He's $12K. I mean, that's pretty hefty price to pay. And as we mentioned, if they blow him out, you may not even get him much in the fourth quarter. So you always got to be concerned about that blowout when you're paying for somebody like that. And, I learned a trick here in the NBA. Like I always said, I haven't been too much of an NBA guy throughout my DFS time, but one thing I have noticed with some of the better players that I've been around, and you pick up little things where, if they think there's going to be a blowout, Chris, you might see a guy that's further down on a bench that's really cheap, and they might just play him thinking that they might get a whole run of a fourth quarter from a 3K type guy. Not saying that there's a type guy out there today. I'm just kind of bringing up a scenario that I've kind of noticed in the past. So if that is out there, sometimes you can get some value from that. But it's either Giannis or no Giannis. If you don't go Giannis, like I said, you can get some other, middle to high end pieces like the Pauls, the McCollums, and those guys, as we mentioned.
All right. I think that will do it for the analysis. We covered Thursday Night Football. We covered the NBA. That means it's time for our best bet segment to end the show here today. So Scott, you can go back to the well on some college hoops. We got NFL, we got NBA. I mean, all kinds of choices here. Narrow it down. Give the people some winners here. Let's stay hot. Who are your best bets here for Thursday night?
Well, Chris, I have one NBA play, and hopefully I don't take it from you here, but the Bulls are going into New York. That over/under started at 213. It's down to 210, so hopefully we did not miss out. But I'm going to roll with the Knicks in the under here, the under in the Knicks game here. So I'm going to go with that. And then here in this football game tonight, man, I just got to go with the Cowboys here. I'm going to take the Cowboys in the first half to win here. I was trying to see what that spread was here. First half, can't quite get it here quick enough, but I do like them to win, to cover in the first half. I think they're going to get out ahead here and put it to them. I just think Dallas is in a much better spot here. Actually, here's the first half spread. It's
-3.5. I'm seeing
3.5. Yep. So I like Dallas. I think they're going to be out in front here by a touchdown. So my favorite play in this is the first half, Dallas -3.5. And like I said, I'm going to go with the Knicks under.
All right, I'm gonna give you 3 plays here for tonight, 2 in the NBA, and we'll hit the NFL as well. So I am going to start with a total here in the NBA. I like the over. You mentioned the Bucks. I like the over in this Milwaukee-Toronto game at 216. Two teams that can definitely score the ball. Milwaukee, a pretty high team total here in this one. So, yeah, you worry about the fatigue a little bit, but I think the over hits in that one. I'm also going to pick on the Pistons here once again tonight. Again, I like them long-term. I get it. No Devin Booker here for Phoenix is certainly a blow, but that team is playing at such an incredible level. I just don't see them playing down to the Detroit Pistons here. So it's 12 points. I get it. Big spread here, and hate to pick on the local team, but I am backing the Phoenix Suns -12 here tonight. And in the NFL, Scott, I'm going to go with the total in this one. I'm going to go under on this number. I agree with you. Dallas probably wins this game, but I could see the Saints being pesky, keeping this thing close. I don't want to back the Saints, so I do like the under here, though. And if you're Sean Payton, your best game plan is let's run the ball with Ingram. Let's run the ball with Taysom Hill. Let's keep this Dallas offense on the sideline. That grinds clock. If I'm Dallas, I also want to run the ball here with Zeke Elliott, with Tony Pollard. So these are just two offenses that, 5-10 years ago, this was likely a shootout. Tonight, I think you see more of an ugly game, one with defense, one with running the ball. that always leads me to an under. So even though this thing is dipped, I don't think it's dipped far enough. So looks like 40, 46 at most places. So under 46 for me tonight. In the Dallas-New Orleans game, Milwaukee and Toronto over 216 in the NBA, and the Phoenix Suns minus 12 against the Detroit Pistons. So, Scott, that will do it here for Thursday night. Another exciting night of sports coming up here tonight. So tomorrow's show, we will cover your sit-start questions, your trade questions, DFS, betting, whatever it is. Send those to us at Woodward Bets on Twitter, and we'll take the 5 best ones and answer them on the show. We'll recap what we saw in the NBA, in the NFL as well. Continue to look forward to Saturday's college football slate and Sunday in the NFL and the debut of Beers with Beer. We're going to put Scott to the test here. We have our first local brew lined up. We'll see if he enjoys it or not, give some feedback. But if you're a beer guy, a sports guy, a betting guy, whatever it is, we're glad you're here. If some of your friends enjoy beer, all that stuff, tell them about the show as well. Have them join in. Should be some fun on tomorrow's show. So, Scott, final thoughts for the people here Thursday night. What do you got, buddy?
I mean, who's got it better than us, Chris? We're going to drink while we work. I mean, woo, that's a good old time as far as I'm concerned there, buddy. So, yeah, looking forward to that tomorrow. And like you mentioned, we got some football, and it's usually a good time to start the week. We got a big college game on Saturday. So, man, I'm looking forward to the start. This is like the start of the weekend here. So I'm fired up, ready to go.
Now, hopefully you don't end up like you did this morning. So, Spencer, if we can get one more look at Scott, live footage from this morning, Beers with Beer, we don't want you to end up like this. But these will be higher ABVs than what you're used to. So we're gonna put you to the test. Get that buzz on early for Friday. But having some fun, like you said here, at Woodward Bets. If you guys have any ideas of segments you want to see, stuff you want us to talk about, please don't hesitate and reach out and let us know. For Scott, for our boy Spencer behind the glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck with your bets tonight, and we'll catch you tomorrow.